Currently I'm in the middle of installing this hydro e-brake for about the third time, so I'll give you the tips that I found that work best for what I have, and for reference I was using Jesse Jessmyster. You can probably find his videos. Those are what I used. He goes into a lot more depth and you'll be able to find a lot more of what you need from there, but this is just the general rundown. So I have my hydro e-brake here with the momentary switch mounted on the side with the 3D printed bracket that I made. I've seen other videos where they use one with the arm that when it moves down it clicks that button. So it's whatever you choose to use and how you choose to mount it. That's where you can get creative. And then I have the two cables coming out the back to some disconnects back here. That's just so that way I can take it off and move it around. And then those two wires are fed through here up to the quick disconnect. And I went through the quick disconnect on each side here. I put two longer screws in up top to hold in that connector right there, and then I drilled two holes to feed the cables through, just so that way I had more room to hot glue and ground and see what was going on. I chose hot glue, wrapping the wire around the post and then leaving that little bit exposed up top to make sure that I got a good connection, because that is key. And then from there you have it connecting to the quick disconnect on the back of here. And here I used the two screws for the disconnect on the wheel as grounding points for the wires that are fed up to the button. And here I put the wires through the hole and then screwed the screw down, so that way I know it's making a solid connection. And then I ran those up and back, glued two little hot glue points there, and then these ends right here I'm going to strip back, solder to these loose little wires hanging out of the board here, which I added. And these wires go straight through a couple of the terminals, and as you can see on the bottom over here, that traces back to the main board, and then you want to use the top one directly across from it. And then I'm going to solder these two wires to the exposed wires here, twist these around, add a little bit of hot glue, and you'll have a solid connection there, promises, and you won't need to solder it to the board, which I found incredibly difficult. So other than that, you'll just have to adjust the two screws on the back of this disconnect to make sure they're making contact with the disconnect on the wheel. And it's a simple circuit, just two wires with that quick interruption at the disconnect so you can remove your wheel. And this way is guaranteed for you to get a simple, easy install where you technically only need some hot glue. I'm just going to solder these two wires because I don't want them coming apart, even though this base isn't going to see, this wheel I mean, isn't going to see many forces inside because it's all secured down. And with the base, just make sure you use enough glue, and you can use solder, or as I mentioned, Jesse Jessmyster or Mystery, or I don't know. I know you can find his videos. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he went through a lot more detail on how he used some crimp connectors as screw-on terminals to the disconnects in the wheel. You can solder to those. You can do, you know, whatever you choose. This is just a quick rundown. You know, make sure you undo this pigtail, and then there's another one here which I have disconnected here so I can move the board around freely. And yeah, go give his a check out. Just keep in mind the tips that I gave you, look at what he did, and figure out what's best for you.